Greetings and hello, people of the dungeon world. It is time for a stream, and I am joined again by the team of stream, Joachim and Rob.
Hello, that's me.
Hello, that is also me.
But only half of you is that part. Whatever. Yeah.
We are two parts to the centaur human that is Rob Joe.
Amazing.
We're a job.
Job.
Yeah.
Which
what I
one of
expected.
us is... You know what? We don't need to go into that.
Uh-oh. Everything is bad. I'm going to do this. Right now, I'm preparing images because I'm going to show off the riddles because that's what we do here. Because I have to do it live every time because of how the system is made. Hello.
Yo, Baba's Me slaps. That game's so good.
Baba is me is yeah. Let's just make that. Listen. If we could make games like that digitally, it would be super fun. I would have quite the time with it. So over the last few days, we unlocked a new stretch goal. Yay! 2,800 backers. We unlocked actually two things. We
Hell
unlocked
yeah.
an additional dungeon. So there will in fact be 5 dungeons in Relics of the Forge, and dungeon randomizer cards. This was an idea that I had kicking around in my head, and why I put it on the stretch goals list. And we'll talk about it in a bit. But where it's gotten to is pretty interesting. Next stretch goal up will be at 3,200. Will be another relic. So a third trivia team, sorry, a fourth trivia team will get in. Right now, Safety Pin, Cape of Chaos, and Pendant of Purity are in the lead, with the Cube of Jubilation and the True Shot Quiver close behind. Without further ado, let's look at our last riddle. So the riddle that was up the past few days, we all know what the fox says, but what does the foxfire say? In particular, which would be most appropriate to start off a new year? I don't know if you all had any guesses on this, or had considered it at all.
I did, but I didn't. I don't think I got it right. So I said Jolly Foxmas, Meadowfolk.
Well, the good news is, for the wrong reasons,
No.
that is correct.
Oh, is it really?
So the first letters of the 12 words across the clues are the first letters of the 12 months of the year.
Okay.
And
Haha.
Jolly Foxmas Meadowfolk is in fact JFM, which is January, February, March. Always Member Juice Boxes is April, May, June. Jumping Act Sassy is June, August, September, and Oh No Dragons is our fall event, October, November, and December. This one, I didn't give a whole lot of clues in the title. Start off was the tip for the wordplay, because you're looking at the start of each word. 43% of people got this one right. So not as bad as number 8, which was a modest 23%.
Yeah, that one wrecked people for sure.
Oh, well, that was rude. Like,
it was a hard one.
That's the worst thing we've done the entire campaign. But yes, so there are 2 riddles remaining. There's one launching right now, which is in fact live. Relic riddle number 10, a book trap. Someone stepped on the pressure panel and the ceiling is on its way to smush you. 4 books are on pedestals and you've only got time to open one. Which will stop the ceiling in its tracks? We've got The Lost Emeralds of Haven, Bag of Holding, Infinite Limes, A Rose by several other names, and Improving Jaded Monster Morale. So for some reason, one of these is correct. And now it is up to you, citizens of the dungeon, and the Twitch and the chat, to figure out which one it is. Good luck. This will be closing Friday. We are planning fingers crossed, to do a stream on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. We will definitely be doing a stream next Tuesday in the afternoon because the campaign ends next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't know that we'll run the stream for the full countdown, but maybe we will.
Might be fun.
Play some dungeon, have a good time.
Yeah, we still have 2 people with perfect scores of 10.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm not one of them.
And we have a number of people with 1 incorrect. So it seems like there wasn't any big change from this one amongst the leaders. Yeah. So yeah, that's Riddle time. So this will close at the start of Friday's stream, at which point we will have the final riddle, which will not be a metal riddle because I have not been planning that much. That would be ridiculous. Yeah. So
You saying that makes me think it is, though.
it really would be cool if it was, but it definitely isn't.
You metaing the meta is a very thing that you would do, though. So
Yeah. It'll be don't Google it number 3.
yeah,
Somehow.
my goodness. Yeah.
There's a puzzle hunt going on right now that has a puzzle titled "Don't Google It," and I won't spoil it obviously because the puzzle hunt is going on, but it is a very funny puzzle. If you are an aspiring puzzler, galacticpuzzlehunt.com is a very beginner-friendly hunt because it is ridiculous and it is full of very short puzzles. We have solved hundreds of them. It's amazing. So let's talk about our friend the stretch goal. So Dungeon Randomizer. This was an ominous pair of words that just sounded fun. And I admit, when I first conceived the phrase, I had a different idea in mind than what we wound up with. What I was looking for is a way to add more variety to your dungeon delving because, you know, there's now with the new expansion there'll be 16 dungeons, which is a lot, but more options is better. And I considered making a series of cards that were all like fragments of dungeons, like you'd get an ice floor and then a fire floor and then a something floor. But the theming was a little bit too weak and it didn't quite come together in an interesting fashion like I had wanted. Hold on, I need to grab water because I forgot to grab water to start off the stream, which is, as you may know, the classic blunder of streaming.
You'd always grab water before you stream.
Mm-hmm. Turns out talking is hard.
Yes, it is.
You're hearing an echo effect. That's interesting. I don't know why you're hearing an echo effect. It might just be that my mobile microphone is less good than my overhead. Okay, good. In fact, I am going to change the microphone going to stream. Look at this better microphone for streaming. It's amazing. You guys can't hear it until now. You get the better microphone. Oh,
yeah.
Ah,
Much better. Much
beautiful.
louder.
Oh, that's possible. Yes, if you have the Backrocket page open in 2 different tabs, you will be hearing the stream twice.
Yep.
This is a thing I've done many a time. Oh no, the fan noise got worse. That's not
problem.
actually a fan. That is the washing machine. I apologize. That I cannot do anything about. But I will turn this down a little bit. Anyways, let's talk about Dungeon Randomizer mode. So what I was gonna do was make all those fragmented dungeons, and it just didn't work. We dumped it because it was not not fun. What we got to instead was a different concept, which is, what if we made variant versions of each of the existing dungeons? So one of the things we got to do in One Deck Galaxy with multiple locations is we have variations of each of them. So there's like 2 different cards for the Unseen, or 2 different cards for Chelonis, and they're the same idea but implemented slightly different. The boxes have different numbers in them. So we took that one step further here, and we made a second version of the dungeon. So what I'm going to show you is the Yeti. Actually, I want to see the Yeti Back. So the Yeti's Cavern is one of the dungeons from the first set. It has 3 simple abilities: Freezing Winds, Brutal Strength, and Biting Cold. So I wanted something that has the same feel, but with a slightly different set of abilities. This is Yeti's Cavern B. So you can see the colors didn't change much, but the implementation here is completely different. The base floor ability, Dangerous Icicles, if you flee, roll a die. If the result is 1 or 2, suffer a damage. So every time you run away, you have a chance of running into some icicles. And the Yeti Back is the actual dungeon. Oh, yeah, for some reason we put the dungeon backs in the first set in the fronts file and the fronts in the back file. This just is a thing that happened. Oops. It's there's no real reason for it. It doesn't actually affect anything. Purely a printing shenanigan. It depended on which side we thought was the quote-unquote front for gameplay purposes, and whatever. So all these abilities are different. So Biting Cold changes it from all yellow boxes gain armor to all boxes that are 3 or lower gain armor. So this has also changed the above. So now 3 of those boxes are 2s. They will all get armor once the Biting Cold floor, the 3rd floor, is revealed. But it also dramatically changes how this affects the cards in your dungeon. It's still making a bunch more things mandatory, and that's a nasty effect. It just does it in a slightly different way, which I find super interesting. So you still have that Yeti feel, but you get something different. This is the first time Joe and Rob are seeing this, because I just made this card an hour ago. What do you think?
But it's cool. I think it's sick. I think it's a really elegant solution to the issues that we had of designing this, and I think it's a fun way to implement variety in the game that sometimes feels a little stale if you overdo it a lot. So.
This question from chat: does Biting Cold work on Perils too? It does. So that 3 box over on the left will become an armor box once the 3rd floor is revealed. And the same for the other cards, the other 2s over on the right side. So the plan is we will make 2 variation versions of each dungeon. So there'll be a B and a C. They will not be called A, B, and C. That's just the very temporary version of how I'm putting these in the spreadsheet. That means we will now have 3 copies of each dungeon card in different varying ways. Let's take a look quick at the boss side. So again, let's look at the original real quick. So you see this has the 24 box, which is the nasty box, but also has a 5, a 6, and a 6 yellow. So the alternate version, all of these numbers have gone down, but there is now a 36 box for yellow up top that is the armor box. 36 is a lot of dice.
That's a lot of dice.
I'm still balancing this. It might go up to 40. The idea here has changed. So you need to put a huge box, a huge pile of dice up there. And you will probably need to combine a bunch of dice to do that, which is going to make filling the bottom 2 rows a little bit harder.
Furthermore, the rule for the Yeti has changed. Now you cannot combine 2 dice of the same color. This makes making black dice a little bit harder and a little bit more finicky. So you're going to have to use your skills even more cleverly to make this guy work. Ultimately,
We'll go real deep into fight.
yeah. This makes it so that you have 3 different versions of the boss, 3 different versions of the front cards. There'll be 3 physical cards if you have the Abyssal Trove, which is where this will live. The Abyssal Trove is sort of doubling as the I want to play with more than 2 players box. It's the multiplayer extra rules thing. It's got escape mode. And one of the problems that 4-player dungeon has currently is that when you're filling in the dungeon boxes, both parties are supposed to do the dungeon boxes. This means that in the new 4-player rules and in the upcoming 6-player rules, you will have multiple dungeon cards on the table, and different parts of the group will be facing different variation rules from the dungeon. So 2 people will be facing the Yeti B dungeon and an encounter. 2 people will be facing the Yeti A dungeon and encounter. And if you have 6, 2 people will be facing the Yeti C dungeon and the encounter. This is fun and also simplifies the table situation tremendously, especially for 6 players. So we sort of like accidentally stumbled into this great solution for our multiplayer problem. Because the 4 and 6-player rules are going to look a lot more like One Deck Galaxy's rules, where table layout is important. You're going to have multiple turn reference cards out there with the potions underneath the dungeons. You're going to have multiple forges if you're playing with the forge. So that will all be cool. Those rules will all be finalized a little bit ways down the line, because that requires me to have people over to the house and play test it.
Significant testing with other people, not just, ghost playing, right? So yeah.
But anyways, that is the idea for the Dungeon Randomizer set. So it's going to be 30 some odd cards, depending on the final number of dungeons, in your Abyssal Trove box. This sort of rounds out, so with the escape mode and this, there's going to be 50 or 60 cards in there, plus the promos, plus the rulebook for multiplayer, and literally a banana.
Don't say that out loud. People are going to expect a banana.
Shit.
You're going to get quoted out of context. It's going to be a nightmare, and it's going to be all your fault.
I place the blame on you.
Why is it my fault?
I don't know.
That's unfair.
Rip. Oh yes, and the updated artifact quest cards. Yeah, that's what I was forgetting about. So that is the new stretch goal. We are hoping to reach 1 or 2 more stretch goals before the end of the campaign. We've got a week left, and yeah. So in addition to this, we have also designed 2 additional relics, which nobody has seen yet. Is this Relics 50? Yes. First up, we have the Map of Destiny. Map of Destiny is a map of the dungeon that sort of magically evolves as you go through. So its basic ability is to gain 2 fuel per closed door. So if you use this during your first encounter out of a new fresh thing, you're going to get 6 fuel out of it. Open all the closed doors. So you're going to get to peek at all of the other doors. And then you can shuffle a door into the deck. This is a change from the version I showed you, Joe.
I see that.
So it was a little bit too good.
It was a little wild, yeah.
Yeah. So you can throw one of the doors away. So you get to peek and sort of plan out what things you want to fight next. And you get some fuel for doing so. But because you're only going to get fuel per closed door, you're a little bit stuck. You have to wait until you explore again to get more fuel. So there's a tempo situation going on here. The second ability, Chart, is what you use the relic tokens for. It says place up to 2 closed doors from the deck. Roll a heroic for each door you're able to place. So this one plays into the fact that you'll have open spaces in the dungeon. And when you decide to use it, you're going to add those doors and get some dice and potentially even seek after that. So this just sort of, this relic changes the fundamental way in which you explore, which is similar to the Shade. I like playing with that as a gameplay concept. You would try this out. What did you think of the slightly different version of this?
It was very mathy, where you'd had to balance the doors that were open versus the doors that weren't, and you really had to, looking at a map, you had to plan ahead. You had to really figure out if the fuel you were getting was like worth the potential. Like I might die to all these things, or I don't know what's going to happen with my doors. Like I could use some of these items or not. But it was an interesting way to kind of regain time a little bit and figure out what you're doing. It was different, and different I think is very good for us right now. There's a lot of interesting decision points to make with this kind of relic. So
yeah, that's what I want with all the relics is just modest shakeups of the standard flow of the game where, you just have to think about things a little bit differently. What I don't want is ones where you've got this really complicated adjudication of any of the abilities, which is why we have the changed Luminous Chime, which I think is...
I think it's much better now.
Yeah, much improved, because one of the things that is very easy to fall into as a trap is I, as a game designer, and as the designer of this game, understand the system very, very well. And I generally can just internalize the whole system very quickly. So what takes me seconds to do would take a new player a long time to do. And if you stack that up across the entire game, we were looking at adding like 20 minutes of execution time to a whole game when someone had to sort of sort out when they should use this, when they shouldn't. Even if those decisions are interesting, you don't want to overburden the game with a ton of extra execution time for new players, for distracted players, for cats, because they don't know what's going on. They just roll in the game. But yes, that is the map of Destiny. We're going to be testing that out this week. Joe will get to run the dungeon many times. It'll be exciting.
I'm excited.
And we also have the Obsidian Hammer. This is a very simple relic. Several of the relics are complicated, and that's fine. We also want to have some that are fairly straightforward, because you want a mix of complexities sometimes, and especially for like a new player. For a player who's coming to Relics as their first expansion, or first version of Dungeon entirely, we want to be able to start them out with relics that don't require some intricate knowledge of the of the game's mechanics to use effectively. So this is super simple. Build power, reduce 3 even dice by 1 each, gain 3 fuel. And then smash is gain 3 plus 2 tokens. This is a very simple spend some resources and then later get some resources situation. You would test this, but with 4 plus 2s.
Correct. Which I think I think it's a little bit better. It was a little bit too strong, so I kind of like it the way that like this instead. I think so.
Yeah. So one of the things I avoided by saying reduce 3 even dice by 1 each, there's not the problem. If I just said reduce 3 dice by 1 each, you immediately have the rules question. Okay, can I reduce a 1? Because it would go to 0 and it would stay a 1. It's just messy and awkward. You don't want it anyways. This you can't. You cannot break the game by reducing a 6, a 4, or a 2 by 1 because all of them go to valid numbers. Plus, it makes it slightly more finicky to use, which it wanted.
Yeah.
But you can reduce the zero if you find a dice with zeros on them, and they come into dungeons somehow, and you roll them and get a zero. You can reduce that die to a -1.
My goodness.
Amazing.
Truly metagaming now.
Yeah, honestly though, right?
We'll sell a dice expansion with just wacky numbers on dice. Everyone will love it. Let's see. That is all the development I had to talk about. We have done many developments over the past week, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. We've done a lot of testing, or I've done a lot of testing this week. I've done a lot of just throwing dice and figuring out how it works out. I've been really enjoying it. And I'm always enjoying figuring out the new stuff that you're doing, and I'm excited to try the variants of the dungeons too. So
017. That's a terrible die.
It's been good to see these relics sort of crystallize a bit more, so I can get an idea of like how much information we need to have on the cards and how much that leaves for like maybe what special visual presentation we want, because this is still just sort of a very basic structure that we put together for testing, and we want to make sure that the relic cards stand out a little bit as their own special thing. And figuring out where to put in some nice little details for that, even particular to the relics, is been a fun thing to start getting ideas down for. So,
because the current presentation is me slapping various parts of cards together onto a onto an InDesign file. Rob has not touched this at all. Clearly, we will have better looking final cards than this, but for playtesting, these have worked fine.
yeah.
That is actually,
it's still helpful because it gives me an idea of, from a gameplay UX perspective, what is a useful way to lay out the information. Have the dice boxes available in a way that like makes it very clear what the status of your relic is, your fuel, and all that stuff. Just kind of at a glance. So you want to have that. You want to have that reference before you start building something out visually, if you can.
Yeah, because with relics themselves, like relics have evolved a few times. Does the fuel get stored on the forge? Does the fuel get stored on the relic? Those ideas both have happened in my head at previous times, and one of the reasons, because I have always, going all the way back to early games, have always erred on the side of making overly laid out prototype cards. I use the real templates as often as possible, whereas a lot of designers just go with Word files or just straight black on white with like boxes and stuff.
And like wireframing, very basic wireframing stuff too. Yeah.
I am very much a person who wants to know how the thing looks for real as fast as possible, because if I make effects that are too long and they work great in that crappy Word presentation where there's just text in white boxes,
and we can't fit in the card, it just hurts.
It hurts a lot, especially when you've got dozens of cards or hundreds even.
And designing for dynamic lengths and disparate lengths of texts is one of the most difficult things to do and make it look good in print. Digital is another thing that's easy, but yeah, it's jarring when you have totally different lengths of text for things. And as we've seen in games like Innovation and Aegean-C, it can be a big challenge to get cards to universally look like they belong together while also fitting the amount of information they have when that amount can be so different. We accomplish it, but it takes it takes a lot, and it's not always perfect.
Well, what we should do is I should just be like, hey, Google, whatever the hell it is, can you decide what size the font of every card is using AI? And it'll just magically flow it all to be super beautiful. Immediately, the computer sets on fire.
This is how we end up with Eldritch runes in our card text, and we summon the Ancient Ones.
It's true. Yeah. I just like every time I see somebody being like, I'll just use AI to solve that problem. Like, actually, you need a human because that will be what makes it look good.
That is truly the frustrating thing about all the AI trendiness and push and the discourse is that AI does have a few actually legitimate use cases, very specific, often very complicated. It is used for so many things that it just is so ill-suited for and completely unnecessary.
It's true. But yeah, so presentation-wise for the relics, we are probably going to try and, if we can, fit a teeny bit of art. It's going to be like icon-sized. They will probably almost surely not have full illustrations. But, you know, if there's a little hammer icon next to Obsidian Hammer, that'd look cool.
Yeah. And, like, it's possible that the border of the card, of each card, because there's only, you know, however so many unique ones, they might have a unique special little themed border for the type of relic that it is. You know, those are all the ideas that I'm playing around with, to just give each relic card some unique flares that when you're playing with Obsidian Hammer or Luminous Chime, you know it, even if you're not reading the name.
Yeah, and this will be all stuff that we do over the coming months after the campaign finishes. We'll probably maybe we'll do like a bi-weekly or monthly dev stream post-campaign. We shall see. But for now, I think that is all we've got for today. Thanks everyone for joining for this dev stream. So we are going to plan on being back Friday. No guarantees. I'll post in the backer kit thing so it shows up on the calendar tomorrow or Thursday. And yeah, have a good middle of the week, everybody. And thanks for joining us in Dev World.
Have a great week, friends. We appreciate you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.